Dayanita, now, as all of them have said, that there is something deeply individual about art, but at the same time, there are occasions on where you get that nationality, or at least contextualized in that nationality. Now, it was interesting, and we were talking about this earlier, that you showed at the Venice Biennale, but you were showing in the German pavilion. Now, this was because India couldn't get its act together and get a pavilion in place?
No, I think the German curator thought that nationality was really not relevant in art practice today, and so she wanted to invite artists that she thought had some connection with Germany, and so that's how she put the group of artists together. But it was a great honor to be there and to be on the hill with Germany, France, and Britain. And very, very sad for the next question to always be, but where's your Indian pavilion? And while I can be very vocal about why we didn't have an Indian pavilion here, I would just look away and, you know, how could you say we couldn't get our acts together, or our institutions, the few institutions we have are run by bureaucrats. We don't have an arts council. We don't have artists other than in an advisory committee at the NGMA.
Right. So what happened? Why couldn't we get an Indian pavilion together? Because we had one earlier, yes? There was one a few years ago. We had one in 2011,
which Ranjit Hoskote curated.
Yes.
And 2013, we couldn't get a letter out just to agreeing to...
a letter from?
The culture department. And I believe Mr. Kalyan Chakravarti says that we will be represented in the next Venice Biennale. I think it's... In terms of global, it's very important to be at the Venice Biennale. I'm completely not in favor of nationality-based art at the same time.
Okay.
And I have always seen that as a burden for myself, and have worked quite hard to sort of say, look at my work and just forget about my nationality.
Okay, so then why do we then need a presence at the
Venice Biennale, unfortunately, the way it's structured is about nationalities, different nationalities bringing in their work. But it's the place where you would have the greatest visibility. So if India wanted to talk in terms of having a global presence, that is one place, and the large museums is another place to have a network of...
So Homi, is that the problem, that India wants to have these aspirations of being a global cultural power as well, but is not willing to invest in the kind of institutions and in creating the kind of ecosystems that will foster this sort of talent?
Well, first of all, if you want to have influential soft power, you have to have infrastructure.
Right.
And I think we do not have the kind of cultural infrastructure. I know there are people who've tried very hard to provide it, my friend here, but I mean, it is very difficult to do it without it. I mean, even if you think of infrastructure like the CIA, when they had Encounter magazine, which we all used to read, you know, they put a lot of money into producing CIA, which we know with abstract expressionists. The Americans at one point sent, you know, made a political project.
Yes.
Now, it is a politicization of art, but I'm saying if you want soft power, it's not a kind of cuddly thing. You've got to have the infrastructure to do it.
Right.
But can I just go back for a moment to your question about nationality, which, you know, you were one of my very best students, but I think nationality is a bit of a red herring.
What's coming now?
No, nationality is, I think, you know, there is a scale which is not the national scale and not the global scale, which we all relate to, which is the city. And if you asked any of us,
yes,
you know, do you feel you represent India? I think it would be difficult to accept in a certain official discourse. But if I think of my work, the cosmopolitan experience of Bombay has carried with me all through my life.
Right.
Bombay was a deeply cosmopolitan place. And that, I think, is very, very important.
But
when we talk about great coteries of culture,
yes,
what we actually talk about, London in certain period, Paris, New York, Tokyo. So I think the ways in which cities mix things up,
yes,
the national, the regional, the international, that's where you look for a location, not a nation.